y'all to Robin on the Farm. Y'all probably know me from my bread recipes, but my love for bread baking and that skill that I have was really born out of a necessity to know what to do with the food in my food storage. I love food storage, and back when my husband and I got married, we started stocking wheat and flour and beans and rice and pastas, all sorts of things. And that's how I got into bread baking. But today I wanted to share with you something a little bit different. I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite foods to keep in my emergency pantry. These are Keystone Canned Meats. Now, this isn't sponsored or anything like that. This is just what I really like to keep in my food storage. This is what I use, and I thought maybe you'd be interested in it too. So, back in 2014, I started buying these and stocking them in my emergency pantry. But I left them on the shelf for about 5 years before I ever opened one. And that's just because they were kind of expensive and I wanted them for a true emergency. So I just left them there. I didn't open them up. But I was so curious to know what was inside and what the meat was like. So in this video, I'm going to open up each of the 5 varieties of the Keystone Canned Meats so that you can see what's inside, because I thought maybe you'd be interested too. There's ground beef. This is the first I ever tried. There's pork, there's shredded beef, there's turkey, and there's chicken. They're all really phenomenal. I'm really impressed with the quality. Let's start with the Keystone canned pork. This is one of my favorites because with just a bit of barbecue sauce and some buns, you have a great meal. You can see that there's only 2 ingredients, pork and sea salt. And one of my favorite reasons that I stock these cans of meat is all of the protein. This can has nearly 168 grams of protein. Now, as I open up this can, you can immediately see the fat, the meat, the broth. Now, you might be put off by the fat that's on top, but this is great for your prepper pantry. When you're storing rice and beans and fruits and vegetables, it's hard to get enough fat. So in a true emergency, you would want that fat in that can. But look at this solid chunk of meat. This is really good, high quality meat. And it makes me feel way better than eating a can of Spam. For a really good meal, I like to heat this up, add some barbecue sauce, make my 30-minute buns, and with very little effort, we're eating pretty good. This is the Keystone beef. I call it the shredded beef. This is a really high quality, good can of meat. There's only the 2 ingredients, just like all the other varieties. This has 49 grams of fat, 980 calories, and 154 grams of protein per can. That is just gold for your prepper pantry. Now look at this high quality meat. Immediately when I open it up, the smell is fantastic. It smells like a slow cooked pot roast. I could open up any of these Keystone meats and just eat the meat plain, just cold, nothing else added to it, but this beef is probably the best tasting. There's so much you can do with this beef. You can make soups, stews. Today I just made a really simple taco soup and it was delicious. Now on to the Keystone canned turkey. I didn't expect to like this canned turkey because I'm not a big turkey lover unless it's smoked turkey, but this turkey is really good. This turkey has 21 grams of fat, 980 calories, and 196 grams of protein. Isn't that phenomenal? I found that this is the leanest variety of all their meats. You can see that there's no fat on top. It's a really good clear broth, really good solid meat. Oh, it is so good. And I've got to say, this tastes better than any oven-baked turkey I've ever made for Thanksgiving, that's for sure. For a really simple prepper pantry meal, open up a can of this meat, a can of soup, and you have a really good meal. I've also made some really good and easy turkey pot pies with this canned turkey. This is the Keystone canned chicken. This was the very last variety of the Keystone meats that I tried, just because I had so much other canned chicken in my prepper pantry. But after looking at those other cans that I had gotten from Walmart and Sam's Club and Costco, those cans had added water and some other ingredients that I didn't realize were in there. So I like that this only has the 2 ingredients. Plus, all the Keystone canned meats have at least a 5-year shelf life, and those cans only had a 2-year shelf life. And what really surprised me was that Keystone canned chicken tasted way better than those other brands. I was really surprised. It was also a lot firmer, just had a better flavor. This canned chicken is nice and lean. There's 14 grams of fat, 840 calories, and 168 grams of protein in each 28-ounce can. Now, these Keystone Canned Meats also come in a 14-ounce can, but I have never seen one in real life. I've only seen the 28-ounce cans. This canned chicken is super versatile. You can use it in lots of different dishes. I love making these chicken enchiladas with it, chicken pot pies, chicken biscuit pies, lots of different things you can make with this canned chicken. Now on to the variety that I was most curious about, the Keystone ground beef. This stuff is awesome. This ground beef has 980 calories, 49 grams of fat, and 154 grams of protein. There's only 2 ingredients, the beef and the sea salt. Now, don't be too shocked when I take the lid off. There is a lot of fat, but I think that's to be expected from ground beef. It would be the same if you cooked your ground beef in a pan and then drained it. All of those drippings would harden into a fat just like this. And it's easy enough to remove the fat from this meat. It is important to remember, if you are in a real emergency situation, you're living off your prepper pantry, you're working really hard, you're really stressed, you and your family would need every ounce of the fat that was in this can. So many of our preps are just pastas and rice and things that don't have any fat in them. So this fat is really good for your brain. You do need a little bit of fat in your diet. So this Keystone ground beef is a great way to ensure that you have a little bit of fat in your prepper pantry. I love it because it's so versatile. You can use it in spaghetti, lasagna, hobo stew, hamburger helpers, just anywhere you would use a good ground beef. I've never seen another brand offer ground beef in a can like this. While on a camping trip, I brought along my Instant Pot, a can of the Keystone ground beef, and a can of Manwich, and I made some really fast, really simple sloppy joes. I served them with a can of green beans and my 1-hour fresh milled flour rolls, and we had a delicious meal. Now, when I bought my first cans of Keystone Canned Meat, it was back in 2014, and I bought them purely to put in my food storage. I wanted them in my emergency pantry because we had just recently gone through a hurricane that knocked out our power for 4 days. So it was high on my mind that I needed some foods that we could actually eat. Sure, I had all of that rice and beans and pasta and wheat, but if the power's out, that stuff's not gonna do me very much good, especially with 4 little kids that I had to feed at the time. Also, at the same time, we were running 750 head of cattle on our farm. Yeah, I could have canned my own beef very easily, but I was also a mother of 4 young kids. I was milking cows, I was homeschooling, and I just needed the convenience of buying some canned meat and putting it on the shelf and not worrying about it. So more than 10 years later now, I still buy the Keystone Meats. I love them. I've been very, very pleased with them. I've never gotten a bad batch. The quality is very consistent. If you're wondering where to get these Keystone Canned Meats, I've been able to find them at Walmart superstores, Ingles, Kroger's. That's mainly where I've seen them. A lot of stores will only carry a few varieties. My Walmart is now only carrying the chicken and the shredded beef, which I'm okay with. I love both of these, but I really love the turkey, I really love the pork, and I really love the ground beef. So I haven't been able to find those recently, but I'll keep an eye out. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that these have gotten way more expensive than they used to be back in 2014 when I started buying them. They were about $5 or $6 for this big 28-ounce can. Of course, times have changed. Things have gotten crazy over the last 11 years. So these are a lot more expensive now. I think these were 7 something at Walmart last I looked, and this was 12 something. That is just really expensive. But I will say, when you don't have power and you need something to eat, this is worth every penny. I love baking, especially breads. I love food storage and prepping. I've been prepping longer than it's even been called prepping. That's a word I hadn't even heard up until about 10 years ago. But I love all those things, and I would love to have you along with me. So thank you so much for being here with me today on Robin on the Farm. I'll see y'all next time.
Robin's in the kitchen, dough beneath her hands, wheat from the fields and eggs from her land. Sunlight through the window, a warm golden glow. She's working hard to make that dough. With flour on her apron, loving each need, ground wheat fresh, sowing her seed. The smell of fresh bread rises in the air. Simple life without a care. In Robin's kitchen, Dreams come alive, each loaf of bread a reason to strive. From sunrise to sunset, her heart's on show, working hard to make the dough.